Hold on, let me find it. Let's get rid of that. Oh, it's here. All right, what did I use? I used the transparency. Oh, probably because in here it's representing 3 months. Could that be it?
Yeah, but in 3 months it's like 10K, some 9K and 10K. I don't remember exactly, but it was like it's like
Here's the math I used. 800 times 2 people times 12 weeks.
yeah, but like in the funding proposal, it's like for both of us. Like we are also going to get money from others. Like Ivy is still working for Commonstack, and I also will be getting some for the steward, some for the reward system, blah blah blah. And yeah, and this is like for the whole working transparency, just transparency, and 3 months is like nine k 84.
Oh, so I did the math wrong. Sorry if I screwed that up. Okay, so it's not, what did I do? Yeah, I did the math wrong. So I did 800 by 2 by 12. And I still get 19,000. How are you deriving this budget?
Can you repeat?
How did you get this budget? How did you
Uh,
get 9,840? Because I'm doing 820 per week
yeah, then you like 820. I mean, we did it yesterday.
times two, so 2 people, right? And then
No,
12 weeks for.
just 12 wave. Like remove the two. Like this is for whole transparent. Like 800 weeks weekly is for yeah for
I
trans.
see.
Yeah.
Okay, so then it's 820. I mean, I guess it's like times
But we
52.
yeah we're still working on the like the special projects are not in there. Like if we need someone for setup, doing analytics or not, like
Mhm.
it's not included there. So might be like a little
Okay,
up, but not too much, like to 20K. Like maybe like I don't know, a bit up,
you,
but not 20K for sure.
okay. Okay, cool. Thanks for doing that. I'd had it wrong and I appreciate the correction. Okay, cool. Guess what's on our agenda today? To talk about the funding too. All right, maybe we get started how we usually get started with our check-in and temperature check on the community. So let's see. Yeah, okay. I will set a timer for about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and I'll unmute when there's 10 seconds left. And maybe I will pass to Eduardo to kick us off today.
Thank you, Tam. Temperature check. So, um, I like. I'm just really happy because of the of the Discord in general. So, that's my dominant feeling at the moment. I felt that today's orientation call, people were a little bit shy, so I'm still trying to figure out how to break the ice with people so it doesn't get weird or strange. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all. Like I feel we're good. Yeah, we're good. And I apologize just in general because my jet lag, I will be probably a little bit not very present today. So that's it. And I will pass it on to Mitch.
Thanks, Edu. Yeah, I'm here to catch up after vacation and hear what's going on in the stewards. Temperature check. I feel pretty good. I've had the opportunity to hang out with a couple of the stewards in person, and I'm like, that's kind of made me feel really, really excited about what we're doing here. And I'm going to be shilling the TEC tomorrow in Barranquilla, so I'm really, really excited about that. But that's my primary distraction probably for this call. And I will give it to Livia.
Thanks, Mitch. My temperature check, I think it's very influenced by the research group happening just because we're looking so much in the TC from like totally fresh lenses from a lot of people, and that has been interesting. So I think a few takeaways is that first, people feel super excited about what we're doing here. Second, I think we like overlook the complexity of everything. It's so many topics and detailed information that I think we have a really good awareness, like all the stewards, and that's very impressive. And also some reflections on our mission, like how clear it is that we are advancing the field of token engineering and not like the crypto economic space in general. So that was an easy confusion that people had. And yeah, I'll pass to Nate.
Yeah, temperature check is good. I think that's we have a lot of new individuals who are looking for things to do, and I'm not sure if, from my perspective, that they're getting stuff to do. So it'd be kind of nice to see some clarity around that. Outside of that, I think everybody's really excited about the param parties and the upcoming vote for the parameters for the Commons upgrade, and I'm excited about that as well. And yeah, I'll pass it to Craig.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Nate. I'm assuming it's temperature check. I'm not quite sure, but I'm excited about the upgrade and the vote and all the param parties and debates. And it seems like there's a lot of engagement there, so that's been exciting. And I don't know who's left. I'll pass to you, Tam.
Sure, I'll pass to Juan Carlos.
Thanks, Tam. Yeah, I am super motivated. I really like the way the Graviton training ended yesterday. There are a lot of things we still have to do, but yeah, we are eager to face those challenges. And I am also really happy to have Mitch here in my house, and that we will be talking about the TEC tomorrow to our local community. So yeah, that's great. And yeah, that's my temperature check. I don't know who's missing.
Chewy.
Yeah, thanks, Tam. Thanks, Juanca. Temperature check. It's I think it's like kind of warm, as in like last week. But still, like it's like, I mean, at least in comms, it's like a storm is coming, and just because how constantly I'm looking for like new ways to organize and to like capture like the new contributors, and it's been interesting, but to be honest, like I've been a little bit nervous because of how uncertain it is, like in a way. But I'm just like so motivated with everything that's going on in other working groups that like it doesn't really stop me. So I'm excited for all of the progress in comms. I'll pass it back to you, Tam. I don't know who's when.
Cool, Zeptimus.
Yeah, thanks, Tam. Yeah, the debates are being so fun. Like, I'm so excited for the Commons Upgrade and how our economy is going to be. I think this is a great opportunity to everyone to join the params and do a tweak on their proposals. And yeah, it's being a blast and learning so much. I'll pass it to Ryder.
I'm gonna pass. Thanks.
Cool. And I just want to say, you know, I'm always glad when, or we're always glad when people join the Stewards call. And in the beginning of the Stewards call, we normally just do a temperature check to see if there's something that we want to sort of raise to the attention of the stewards, things that are either not going well, or maybe things that are going well and you want to share something you're excited about. And I'd like to just offer everyone in the call a chance to voice their opinion. So I'm going to keep passing it to Pythagorean if you want to share some thoughts about how you see things are going in the community. Okay, and maybe I'll pass to Wright. Welcome to the TEC. Oh, that person left. Okay, Session AC. Nope.
I'll jump
What
in
about
here.
it?
My audio cut out when you were calling on names, so I'm not sure if you called on me just yet, but I can jump in. So, yeah, I'd say the temperature, I'll characterize it as simmering. And in one way that I'm seeing this simmer and feeling it is in the Cardano community. There's folks that are engaged in the TEC on various levels who are also engaged in the Cardano community. And so it's been fun to see that we've spun up a small little working group to explore ways that we can start to make some connections here. And Lauren's going to be doing a params party for a DAO that's all based on Cardano. And so I'm excited to see where this might go. So yeah, simmering.
Yeah, that is super exciting. Thanks for sharing that. Danielo, would you like to share some thoughts or observations?
Thanks. I'm just kind of lurking. So yeah, not much to share. I don't know. I'm very much out of context. Just saw that this call was was happening, and I thought I could start to learn a little bit more about what you guys are doing. So I jumped in.
Cool. You're very welcome to hang out.
Thank you.
And maybe Session AC, if I'm saying it correctly. I don't know if you want to share a thought or two or observation about community. Okay. All right. I'll take that as a no, and we'll keep going. And feel free to jump in if you're having problems with your audio. Okay, so Vi was going to show up today to just do a small, not quite a demo, but just like, hey, here are the new things in our Discord server. You probably can see that our Discord server has changed. So there's just a few things that I wanted Vi to point out. One of the things is there's, so most of the channels are the same. There's just a little bit of clean headings, so we can differentiate between the different categories a little bit better. There is a new onboarding journey. So when you join the server now, the verification process happens within the Discord server. It's no longer on a different website, and then you join the server. And then there's a survey that's automatically sent to all newcomers. And then the last thing is there's a guide. Maybe I need to share the screen, actually. Give me one moment. There's the guide that Vi demoed in the community call. Anyone can come and just ask some basic questions about the TEC. This thing here, dismiss message, actually is quite important to get rid of those messages. Let's see, how is the TEC organized? For example, links to the group website page and TEC calendar. So this guide is really just the first version, and we'll be able to expand on it and make it more robust. The other thing I wanted to show people was get involved. Right now, it just has a few call to actions, but I'd like this to be the channel where all of us in all of the stewards of working groups use that channel to say, hey, I'm looking for people that are creatives, and if you are, please reach out to Chewy in the communications working group. So I think get involved can be a place where we're voicing the working group's needs, specifically around skill sets. And then I also want to say that you can let people in your working group know that the description of the channel also has the agenda in it. So it's very easy to find, and people don't need to go to the Google Calendar anymore. Now we just have everything in Discord itself. And then the last thing is, I know we've talked about it before, but I also want to give special praise to Zeptimus, who populated all of the calendar events for this week. So all of the calendar events are in here. It's really something, it's really neat actually, and you can say which ones you're interested in. And I think you get a reminder before it happens. So that's very neat too. So start using it. If you have an event that you want to create, feel free to create an event as well as put it on the calendar. I think that was about all he was going to cover. But yeah, it was a lot of work that went in by Vi, MS, Gideon, LBS, Eduardo, and myself. And we would all love feedback. If you want to share any thoughts or any ways to improve it in the Communitas channel, that would be super welcome. All right, I just wanted to see how we were doing with our funding proposals. Zeptimus fixed something that I had wrong in here today for transparency. I guess I'll start with like the stewards is like just waiting on me to copy it and paste it into the forum. I think it's done. I haven't got too much feedback from the stewards yet, so I think it's in good shape. Where is it even? And now my plan is actually, it was my plan last week to put it into the forum for feedback from the community. And I think I should do that like soon. And I apologize, it's not done yet. Yeah.
I wanted to bring up something that I was looking at, and I'm not sure if I should just wait for the forum or if I can bring it up here.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
So my only, when I was looking at the budgeting for things, I was concerned from the perspective of the working group coordination leads, the stewards, they're getting paid out of the stewards budget. But I know that some of the working groups, they have allocated funds for the stewards within that as well. And I'm curious to know how people feel about that type of kind of, I don't want to say double tipping. I mean, like whether that funds for the working groups can actually go to paying more roles rather than, you know, having stewards getting paid from both the working groups themselves and the stewards working group. I just wanted to bring that up. I know it's kind of a touchy subject maybe, but I don't know. I just wanted to.
No, I think I love that we're talking about this because I struggled so much to figure out what the right thing to do was. And I don't know that it's the right thing. So I love this feedback, and I'd also love to hear other opinions. There's a few things. You know, I included working group coordination leads because there are people in working groups that are performing the role of the working group coordination lead. So they're attending the sprint planning, they're attending the retrospective, they're coordinating on GitHub or in ZenHub. So I feel like there's a role that is part of the transversal coordination effort, and that it's not exclusively stewards who are fulfilling that role. And so I wanted to acknowledge that and to make sure that the expectation of, and I think I have something like, you know, at least 10 hours. Like the expectation is that it'll take at least 10 hours to attend the calls, to participate, to know what's going on. So I didn't want to let that role go unacknowledged. Does that make sense? So yeah, thoughts. And maybe let me just take a moment to sort of explain it too then, because I was looking at different figures. This was actually Angela who, it shows up as anonymous, but Angela remarked that, you know, she's seen DAO rates of more than 2 times these, even for 10 hours a week. And it's very true, you know, and when I crunched the numbers, I realized that, you know, if we look at something on an I don't think I did hourly, but okay. So if you think it's, you know, this is like $5 an hour or $3 an hour, and this is $17 an hour or $11 an hour. So if you sort of break it down to the expectation of work, and then like the amount of that, the this would actually be for an hour of that work that we're expecting these roles to perform. It's I would say it's a token, but it's not generous, if that makes sense. So, but I'd love to, can we pass it around and get some other thoughts and opinions about it? I'd love that. Maybe we can ask Eduardo, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree on Nate's comment. For me, the only conflict that I see from this double situation is that we pass sleep also on recognizing contributors that contribute in two or more than one working group. Because if we recognize the contributions of the stewards outside the scope of the working group, or because of the contributors that are also on more than one working group should be also acknowledged. So not by the stewards. I don't mean by the stewards, but in general. Like I don't know. I felt that that's the only slippery kind of part of it, is that we give certain prevalence to the stewards, but not necessarily the same double checking for other contributors who may be doing also heavy lifting. But that's the only thing that crossed my mind regarding that. And I think what is key is to clarify why the stewards are receiving, even if it's a small income, and just explainly through it into the community so they are aware of, which is done, but just just in case. And I will pass it on to.
Actually, can I just pause for 1 minute?
Yeah.
And just maybe can you help me make it better then? What is missing in terms of making sure expectations are, what would you say is missing from this proposal?
Can you share your screen for that section description?
Gosh, I thought I was, sorry. I'm so sorry
That's
about that. And then maybe can I also ask, can you phrase the question again, Nate, before Eduardo passes it on?
Sure.
Yeah, so I guess the idea is that, if we're making sure that stewards are compensated properly through the stewards working group, I guess the question is, should stewards also be being paid out of their working group budget as well? Or should those funds be used for other roles, and making sure that stewards are solely paid out of this stewards budget?
I see the question. Yeah.
Because there's a really strong incentive for Mitch or me to string up a working group and create a budget and get paid from both, in that type of scenario. But I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I see what you're saying. So the question is, should stewards only be paid in a steward working group funding, or that's the question?
Yeah, I think it's a lot cleaner if stewards are strictly paid out of the stewards working group, and rather than the stewards and their own personal working group that they're working on.
I think it's when you bunch all the stewards together, it's easy to take it out of context of how much work each steward is doing. Because the work that I do out of a steward is nothing compared to all the work that Chewy does as the steward of comms, and so if you put them all in the same basket, it's easy to lose the context.
Yeah, for me there is also this section of, for example, the council. We have the council topic, and if I'm not an expert on that council and it falls outside the scope of my working group, I have to actually make some research, make some understanding to give a proper opinion, and so on. So I think I understand the aspect of recognizing a small amount of recognition to outside the scope of the working group. My concern is not about that necessarily. It's about how it will be seen outside, that only we are paying this attention only to the stewards. So just a boundary, or a system in place that working groups also recognize that there could be people who are contributing more than one working group, and that they should be recognized. So yeah, sorry, I'm not making maybe much of a sense. Sorry.
Yeah, my gut also says that each working group should decide how to compensate the people in that working group, including the stewards, and that these compensations should be our proposals, and the names are named in the proposals, and there's transparency, and and I feel like I don't think that we should dictate how any contributor is compensated by the working groups. It really should be the decision of each working group. And that's why the steward's compensation is so low, actually. It's intentionally very low because it means to represent just the responsibilities of being a steward and not the other responsibilities that that person takes on.
I don't know if I agree with that the steward's compensation is purposely low because of all the other things they will be doing. Bad analogy, but it reminds me of like American restaurants relying on tips and like not paying contributors how the work that they are already providing. And maybe there is a boundary that is interesting on what Nate said of like, I don't know. I don't know if I have a full idea of this yet, but just some thoughts coming in.
I think that a good thing that we have had until this point is that all the stewards receive more or less the same amount. So I think that we should also agree on some numbers that we can share between all working groups to say like, okay, this is going to be the range and the amount of compensation that we're going to get, and to try to have them more or less as standards.
If I could suggest, sometimes as an alternative to standards, just having a bit of data transparency, like a table where they can be seen, can be a bit more flexible, like not trying to impose a baseline, but simply then people can decide, and if there is good communication, good conflict resolution, it kind of takes care of itself.
Chewy, do you have some thoughts you want to share too?
I have some ideas. I don't know if they are good ideas. So I'll verbalize them. Hopefully they won't sound so dumb. But like in a way, I feel that this originally was a thought in comms that had a very like a clear change. Back when the idea was to have like core functions that could be in a way like scaled to individual project management, was supposed to be like complementary. So right now I'm thinking that this is a very similar situation with the steward role, because if someone is a steward, it means that they are already like contributing in to a working group in some way. So I feel that if like a steward, the stewardship role would be like an additional role on top of something else. However, I do agree with Livy's idea. I really don't like the American system of tipping in restaurants. But what if it were like what they tell you like about tipping, you know? So what if there was a like a decent base salary in the restaurant, and then from there on you can optionally gratify the waiter or the waitress without being in that position of oh, I have to tip because this is what they rely on. So if there is like some kind of track kept in a way about each steward, what their functions are, and how their working group funds is moving, I feel that it could be a good complement. As Mitch said, it sometimes it won't match which brings me like to a more general question, right? Like if I'm if I'm going into meetings and I'm stewarding contributors, would that fall under the stewards working group, or would that be like our own like budget? So if there's a transparent way in which we can like check if every steward is like doing enough work in their working groups, and after that they can get like complemented by like a base fee. It makes sense, but I also feel that it's much to track, which adds like a layer of difficulty to the stewards working group. These are some thoughts, but and ideas, but yeah, hopefully
Cool.
those were clear enough.
Yeah, no, it was super clear, and I want to just respond to that because it's really important. What you're saying is sort of like having this transparency is something that I thought was really important too, but how to do that, right? Some of the ideas were like, oh, maybe every month the stewards vote on other stewards, or we use some system like that, like I think it's Coordinate that uses that. That was one of the inspirations. So that was one road I went down. And then I looked at what Deep Work is doing, and I thought Deep Work is, basically, and maybe some other DAOs as well, like DYDX, I think, is doing this on the forum. There's some communities that are doing this on the forum. And I thought, well, the stewards, so we know that the stewards, when you're nominated as steward, you will have to, maybe I can go back to this, you'll have to, have a period every 6 months where you post on the forum that you're still committed to being active and present servant leader in the know. So you're recommitting to your to the steward role every 6 months, or automatically offboarded. Actually, if that doesn't happen, then there's a sort of automatic offboarding that we're going to start now. And that the same thing will the same kind of thing will hold for the idea of the compensation that people will receive, which would be, if I can find where I put it here. So the idea is that during the first week of the month, the stewards who feel like they have been active and present servant leaders in the know would share on the stewards channel that they are what they're requesting. So it's the stipend, right? Everyone will request the same thing. If someone's acting as a steward and a working group coordination lead, because they're additional work for that, then they request the combination of these two. They're cumulative, not separate. And then I don't know, I don't think it needs to be so detailed or so granular as every single GitHub issue that they did, but just the basic role, the basic service that they provided to the TEC. And then if there's no objection, then the transfers will just happen. Then it's sort of administrative. So that's where I was hoping to have the transparency be available, at least within the stewards working group. I don't think it's necessary. I didn't think it was necessary to do something like post it on the forum every month. I felt like it would just detract from our forum rather than add to our forum, whereas I thought anyone in our community is able to look at the stewards channel, and most importantly, it's on the stewards' attention. And then for the idea of tipping, I really don't look at this as tipping. It's not as if we're not giving stewards anything, but then if they perform well, we tip them. So I don't see that analogy working at all. I see it more as if there's a minimum amount of expectation. And this is a compensation that's correlated with the minimum amount of expectation, basically. And that there's going to be contributors that contribute to many different working groups, and they should be compensated for each role that they do. And the steward is a role, and I feel like the stewards should be compensated for that role because they're providing a service to the TEC. And it's a service that I think is worth compensating. That was my thinking.
Just one thing on that. I think it gets tricky when being a steward is already a compilation of multiple roles. Because when we say someone being in the know, what does that mean practically? Like, attending multiple meetings, collaborating with different working groups. I think that can be the fuzzy line of like, are you contributing with multiple working groups, or are you just being a steward and doing your role well?
I think in many cases we'll find stewards are participating in many working groups without having a compensated role in those working groups. And that's what being in the know might be, right?
Yeah. So if the steward's role was very well compensated, then all of this side, like participating in the community in general, would be just all included kind of thing.
Yeah, it's another option. It's not the one I went down, but do we want to explore that more?
I mean, I will just say that like if we were to use for example Chewy's proposal, $16 16 DAI an hour for or 19 DAI an hour for 16 hours a week. He's looking at like double what he gets paid as a steward. 2 to 2.5 times what he gets paid as a steward on a monthly basis for that working group. And the thing is that Chewy himself can, has the ability to negotiate with his working group depending on how much work he performs on raising that number or lowering that number as he sees fit, and that group sees fit, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I guess my thing is that when you put that discretion on the individual to control that, then you open up the opportunity for kind of manipulation and things of that nature. Whereas if you have stewards taken care of straight from the stewards pool, and people, stewards who have their dedicated working group can get paid more, and they should get paid more. But they should be compensated from one place, and it's a little bit more transparent. It's a little bit more open. There's no room for ambiguity in terms of like what they provide. Their job is to make sure that their particular working group is on path and guiding towards that particular whatever their goals are. I just think that separating the two, it gets complicated, and it gets to a point where, you can, I don't know, like like if I wanted to, I could try to string up a working group and see if anybody wants to do it, and I could basically double my money. Whether we need that working group or not, that's up to the community to decide. But I can probably make a justification for several different types of working groups right now. And so I just get curious about that aspect of it, and I do think it holds merit for further conversation.
Zeb, do you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with both opinions. Like, like when, for example, like as Mitch was saying, like if you have, stewards get the same, all of them. That was something I was talking with Sam with the Price Magadon. Like, you then want to be on the top, but you want to do as little effort just to be on the top, and then you don't care. Like, I really think like like you should get paid for what you do. And then another thing like is like it depends on us, but actually like how detailed we want to be on the transparency audit. Like, do we want to, I don't know, rank people, see how much they get? I mean, all that information is on the blockchain, so we could gather that and see like how much everyone is getting paid from TC, make a rank. Like, it's up to us how much transparent we want to be. And what else? And like also some, like for example, when I was doing the transparency proposal, I'm just putting the work down there, like like get the recordings, get the documentation, set up, nothing related to stewards, because I was already seeing that proposal. So for me, it didn't make, as Nate was saying, like it doesn't make sense to get paid from two resources from the same work. And for me, the important thing is like we be transparent. I mean, the transparency audit is planned to be ready 3 months after launch. So maybe like the first 3 months, I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, that's what I can update.
Okay, tricky. I mean, maybe it sounds like we just do an informal vote in the stewards channel and see if we want to pivot to a completely different direction. I feel some resistance to taking the agency away from working groups. I feel a strong resistance to that, actually. So I don't know. I think we can still have a vote and have a discourse about it to see if we want to change direction. But I think that each working group should decide how to compensate any contributor, even the stewards. It would feel weird if maybe they couldn't do that.
I just have one point on that I think I definitely agree that it's important for each contributor to have agency, but I think this could be like something harmful for our boundaries because it's dealing so much with resources that we all share, and then if we don't have kind of a shared understanding of how each working group is doing something, and it's so free for us, the creation of working groups, like it's pretty much like if there is a work stream and that pops up and there's enough people collaborating with it, that could become a working group. Yeah, I don't know. I think it might be a good place to put some boundaries.
I mean, in my opinion, like conviction voting, how it works, like like the less money we have in the pool, the harder it is to get proposals. So like the own market is going to say like maybe if the community, like we have 20 working groups, but then we can only fund 5. Then the token holders are going to vote for those 5, and the other 15 are just going to disappear because that's how market works, right? And I think we shouldn't fear that. Like it's okay. Like no, our resources are limited, so we are going to fund whatever we think it's good to fund.
I hear like setting boundaries, and I think of just like saying that we need more rules. And to maybe talk to Nate's point, it's like, yeah, maybe you could spin up a working group if you wanted, but then the other part is that you have to convince people to pay you, and that's the other end of it. It's like, well, we can allocate funds and people are going to use their judgment whether or not you deserve X amount of money, and they're going to look critically at the work you're doing and the value that you're providing or not providing. So I think that's a big factor of like, we've built a really good culture, and hopefully people think critically before giving money to working groups and projects. And so there's this human factor that can be relied upon and should be relied upon, instead of just like setting up more rules.
There's also a point that I think I brought up with you, Tam, in our call, and it's about the huge difference between rewarding work with our governance token and funding proposals with WrapTextDie. So when it comes to like boundaries, I personally think that this actually is good because there are less boundaries that we. I mean, I feel that if we were giving out our governance token, boundaries would be more necessary because of the process of how we take decisions. However, the reward system heavily depends on community recognition. So I feel that by itself, like it's gonna be like its own like metric, let's say, for contributors to get TEC tokens, versus requesting funding or getting compensated for something for like a bounty or like project management, which is going to happen in WrapTextDie. Does this make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. That we'll have this being regulated by Like the people who have voting power are going to be the people that are being rewarded for their work that is validated by the community, like whoever is dishing praise. And then work for the projects will come from the grants. And yeah, that's fair what both Mitch and Zeptiman said, that like it will be a self-regulating thing and we don't need to put anything explicitly there.
There's also the point of like the reputation. If it seems as if a steward is, perhaps acting without the best integrity, I think who among us would want to stake our reputation on that, right? Or risk our reputation on
I guess my big problem is the vehicles for challenging that type of decision making. Like if Chewy right now wanted to say, I want to be paid $70 an hour, and he put that into the budget, it's not like, people are going to want to stay away from funding the communications working group, but it's also like, what power does a contributor have to say within that calms down to say, hey, I don't think you should have it.
But then that's when
that
where
proposal has to pass
graduated
first.
sanctions and gravity comes in, right? If somebody sees that and they see that somebody's acting against the interest of the commons, then that's when all the participants have the agency to take action.
Yeah. Also,
Using
that
what vehicle?
proposal would have to pass. So maybe he's worth $70 an hour. Maybe we all agree, it would be $500 an hour if it was somebody else, right? Like of the same caliber. So like maybe we can, like, if the community passes that, then we agree that that's the value for his role there in comms.
Okay. I'm just saying that right now the stewards control the initial state of how this payment type system works. And so that initial state is going to be very, very hard to change once it gets started. And so that's my only concern, is that we open this up to be gamified, basically, where if we were to just say, hey, stewards are paid from a single pot, we reward them well, incentivize them to do well within their working groups, and then the working groups can decide how they spend that money on the actual work that is being done. And they're not having to deal with the political aspects of like dealing with how much is somebody getting paid and like whether or not this proposal should be. And then once that happens, it blocks all progress within the DAO itself and the communications budget because everything is held up by that single issue. And so that's my only concern, is that we politicize the payment of stewards, where we can just say, hey, this is a flat rate, it's controlled by one group, and everybody gets paid, like the stewards get paid based off of the decisions of this one group, rather than opening it up to the entire community to constantly be exposed to the politics and challenging of how much individual members get paid within that group.
I think this is an interesting political discussion, though. Like, it's something that we never talk about in society in general, like how much people are getting paid. And I think it's a topic that needs to be brought to the open if we want to have some type of progress in it.
I have a small opinion about this. Like, I agree with like the thing that Nate is suggesting too. I'm just wondering, could we somehow make this something that's two-way? Like the stewards group decides how much gets paid, and they're the ones managing the funds. But the actual working group that the steward is working for gets some say in saying how, like, how much would they say that their steward has, like, worked, and like how much they feel like they should pay their steward, something of the sort. And then the like the stewards group just decides and splits the diff, and just funds people based on top of that.
Mm-hmm. Just to add on to your idea, Vi, what we started doing in Giveth is that when we want to do payments between working groups, all the participants decide what percent each contributor should get, and then we take an average of that. So even the steward themselves, like their contributors, are looking at the work that the steward is doing and deciding how much they should get, and then then we take a combined average.
There are some really interesting models. Giveth was one that I looked at. Coordinate, where everyone gets a certain amount and you give to another person in the working group based on how, so the group just tries to decide how much people have worked in the working group by each having an allocation that they then give to people. So each person decides some percentage of distribution. I moved away from those models intentionally, and my intention was to keep it as simple as possible and not to make it more complicated, though I think in the future those models are probably a direction we may want to move in.
I have one. I mean, what about, like, we could do what Nate was saying, like getting all the stewards from the same pot, but then instead of paying all the stewards the same, like we should do something like we do in Common Stack, like we write down all the tasks we were doing, and then we say like I work this amount of hours, then I get that, and and then we also put a max, like in Common Stacks, you get like 100 die maximum, and if you work more, then okay, you get the max pay, but and I don't know, that could also solve the problem of gamifying on the proposals, and then it's more easy to be transparent how the stewards are getting, and also you are rewarding each steward accordingly to their work if there's difference between some.
I also see a good point of Nate's idea, and is that maybe if there is a new working group that is going to be created, maybe it just needs the steward. Like the steward is creating the working group, so that there's no need to pass a proposal just for one person. And if we have like the steward spot, we could add one steward that then after in some months can actually submit a proposal.
All right. So I love this. I think there's a lot of really good ideas in here, but they need to be fleshed out a little bit. And maybe if anyone, unless there's an objection, maybe I will post this to the forum with the caveat that we've discussed this in the Stewards Council, the Stewards group, and there's some divergence of thoughts and opinions and ideas, and anyone can propose an alternative that's more fleshed out, perhaps. Does that sound like a good way forward?
Yeah, I love it to bring it to the forum. That's going to be fun.
Okay. Fun. Cool. All right. Yeah, I think that there's if we need to make the process a little bit more complicated, then we should probably do that if it is long-term benefit. But I thought, yeah, okay, cool. Okay, we'll do that. Maybe we can go around and check in on the status of other working group funding proposals. Maybe I'll pass to you, Cherie, since you're next in the list. Just if are there any blockers, or do you want to give an update of when you think you'll be able to post it on the forum? Just some rough idea.
It's my priority right now. I got distracted last week because programs parties and just a bunch of stuff going on. But since most of the new contributors are in the Americas, I'm starting to schedule some of those calls for the afternoon so that I can prioritize the funding proposal for this. I'm really, really sorry on how delayed it has been, but we've learned a lot along the process. So hopefully it'll be in a full comprehensible shape once I post. But yeah, my goal would be to, before the weekends, to post it.
Okay, just quick, because I forgot to add this to the agenda. The vote ends next Tuesday. So our first round of voting is ending super soon. If we can encourage the people that we know, that the hatchers that we know, to participate in the debates, to be informed so that they can vote by next Tuesday, that would be, that's awesome, that would be great.
Tam, there's other thing that I want to say, and that now that the working groups are going to be able to include in their structure new contributors or old contributors that were not in the structure, maybe there are some contributors that are going to be rewarded in several of the working groups. So it would be good to have like a clear list of like, okay, Durgadas is going to work in Gravity. So like, is Durgadas going to work and be paid from Gravity, or is he going to be also contributing to comms? Or yeah, to have like a clear list to not double reward the same contributor.
What if it's not double reward? What if we're rewarding people for the work they provide?
Yeah, I think that's really
Yes,
the
I
difference.
agree.
Is they're getting those rewards for multiple groups because they're doing work in multiple groups. Like that's just the fact of the matter. The stewards included.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. I feel like the stewards we have a piece of work that we're providing a service, and then we might provide other services in other working groups, but that doesn't mean we're not providing this service. I look at it as something like, I freelanced for many years and I had many different clients and I did different projects for different clients, and they all paid me because I provided services to, I completed different deliverables, right? So I kind of feel like if you're delivering something for multiple working groups, of course you should be getting value for those pieces of work from all the working groups that you're contributing to.
But I would say that's strictly from a role, like that system is strictly a bounty system, and that's not what we're setting up. We're setting up these static roles where they're getting paid monthly. Of I'm this position, and because there's a lot of people who contribute to these working groups that aren't going to contribute, are rewarded for that because it's not a static role.
I feel like that comes with the assumption that it's a full-time role. But if you're doing 4 10-hours or 1 40-hour a week, do you see the difference? I'm trying to
but can you have multiple full-time roles? Is that I mean, the assumption is that you can have as many full-time roles as you want, and this is something that I have a problem.
4 different groups.
Okay, so the thing is that now you're limiting positions that are static, that we have a limited amount of, to certain participants, and then everybody else is excluded from that type of system because you can only afford to hold these types. But only in the secondary manner, only in a secondary type of role. They have a complete monopoly over that role and that work.
I don't think that I'm not saying it's so fixed. I'm saying that people will come in and out of the working groups.
Yeah, but if comms only has time to budget for these 7 roles, guess what? They're not going to increase their budget to add more roles. Okay, so if Durgadas is in this role and this role and this role, he's got 3 different roles that he's playing in, that he is static and he's remaining there, and that means other people or contributors who have no upward mobility towards those roles. And so my big concern is that if we're not doing a full-on bounty format, then this type of system is not conducive to any type of openness for new contributors to actually have a meaningful part in whether the working groups or the DAO itself.
A few things. The budget can change month to month. The budget can so the budgets are for a month or for 3 months, depending really on what conviction voting is going to favor. And I would expect that the roles could change month to month, and the contributors can change month to month, or if we're doing this quarterly in terms of budgeting. I don't see it's so fixed and immutable, or like unchangeable. I see that if we just take an example of the stewards group, stewards will leave and stewards will be nominated, and there's going to be people that come in and take this role for a while and then leave. So I see it actually being incredibly fluid and not so fixed.
If there's a concern about static roles, too many static roles held by one person, we could have like a very rough, simple rule. Like, if someone's maintaining 4 static roles, it's probably advised that they like start leaving roles in like say a quarter or so that there's room for more contributors.
But what's
Which
the
is,
point?
I think, it's pretty fair.
Like if I'm doing recordings and I'm doing it well, why? Like I think like the reason like I get removed is because I leave or because someone do it better or cheaper than me and then they propose. Like I feel like it should be competing the whole time. Like I know like it's not the culture we have, but I feel like the market should decide who gets what.
But with that mindset, I'm just going to string up a competing transparency working group and go do things cheaper than you.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
That for me that would be legit. Like, and if you do it, and and then people vote, and if you do it as good as me but cheaper, or even better and cheaper, like people will vote for you. Like, and that's what.
All right. Well, let's enjoy this futarchy that's about to hit us. So,
Okay, this is so exciting. I want to continue. We're at the top of the hour. So this conversation will continue on the forum.